The monthly total is sitting at the top like a verdict, 120, not a range, not an estimate, a number that expects to be accepted. Directly beneath it is the cheaper reality, 45, and it's not missing, it's covered. A thick bar runs across the line item like someone blacked it out on purpose. Over the bar, one stamp ends the conversation. Locked. The label is still visible around the edge, blunt and technical, like it was pulled from an internal table. Pro Rata Retention. In the corner, small system text anchors it to a real account, a real moment. Today, account 48821. The screen isn't explaining anything. It's documenting what you're allowed to see. This is where the loss lands, because it isn't theoretical. Somewhere inside the same system that produced your 120 Zorar total, a cheaper number exists under your own account, on your own bill, and you are not allowed to access it. The bill becomes proof that the price you pay is not the only price that could have been applied to you. A person stares at a locked line item and does what people always do with numbers. Rereads it, scrolls a little, scrolls back. The mind tries to find the catch different plan, different speed, different contract length, something that would make the gap fair. But the page doesn't offer an explanation. It offers a boundary. The locked bar doesn't say why. It only says no. The consequence is quiet because nothing is taken from your hand. The system doesn't announce a penalty. It simply withholds the better option and lets the higher total feel normal. Month after month, normal becomes familiar, and familiar becomes invisible, and invisibility becomes profit. A new customer doesn't need to earn anything. A new customer doesn't need to prove need or loyalty or hardship. The new customer just arrives and gets the clean offer, the visible offer, the headline offer. You don't get a worse service. You get a different menu. The punishment is not in the product. It is in what you are allowed to see. Nothing moves when you pay, because payment is the most invisible behavior an account can produce. Autopay completes, receipts are generated, and the system reads it as stability. The expensive total repeats month after month with no friction, and repetition becomes its own kind of permission. The interface stays smooth while it extracts. No pop-ups, no warnings, no special savings available. Just a stable number sitting at the top of the page, waiting to be accepted. That's the design. Make the expensive version of reality feel like the only version. Then you touch the one action the system treats as danger. You move toward cancel. The page hesitates. A brief reload. A small spinner. Even that delay feels like the system taking a breath, checking a rule, pulling up a different set of options that were never part of the first screen. The tone changes without a single human sentence. The locked bar flickers, the hidden line sharpens into focus, and the digits on Pro Rata Retention become readable. The cheaper price did not arrive. It was already there, waiting behind the condition you hadn't triggered. The offer wasn't missing. It was suppressed. This isn't about one company. It's about a rule. Data-driven offer suppression. Better options exist, but the system withholds them from accounts it believes are unlikely to switch or complain. Silence isn't neutral inside these systems. Silence is a signal. The rule does not need malice. It only needs categories. A segment that pays on time. A segment that rarely contacts support. A segment that has stayed through price increases. The system learns which accounts absorb higher totals without resistance, and then it stops spending discounts on them. The cheaper line still exists inside the machine, but it becomes conditional, gated, reserved. That's the asymmetry. Companies extract more from inert users while active switchers benefit. The moment you resemble a risk by hovering cancel, by initiating a transfer, by signaling movement, the system unlocks what it kept out of view. Loyalty feels like it should be rewarded, but the screen reveals a different logic. The best offers are reserved for the moment you stop being safe. An account doesn't feel like a profile. It feels like a bill. But behind the bill is a record of behavior that gets translated into probabilities. The system doesn't need your reasons. It only needs your pattern. The pattern is built from small, repeated events. Payments made without delay, plans kept without change, months passed without contact. price increases absorbed without complaint. Every one of those quiet months becomes a data point that says the same thing in a different language. Not loyalty, not satisfaction, tolerance. A customer who tolerates becomes a stable line in the revenue table. Stability is not rewarded inside these engines. Stability is harvested. So the menu you see is not a neutral menu. It's a curated screen built to match what the system believes you will accept. Not what is possible, not what exists, not what would be fair, what you will endure without becoming expensive to retain. The suppressed offer is not a myth because it shows up the moment the account threatens to change state. It sits behind a trigger like a locked drawer, and when the trigger is pulled, the drawer opens. That is why it feels personal. The number doesn't just exist in the company's world. It exists under your own account label. The bill is the evidence surface that gives the lie away. The moment the cheaper rate reveals itself, the older belief starts to wobble without being spoken. The belief that pricing is fixed. The belief that everyone is looking at the same set of options. The belief that if you are paying more, it must be because you chose more, used more, demanded more. But the screen doesn't show a different product. It shows a different gate. The same service is still sitting behind the same monthly total, yet a cheaper number was kept out of view until risk appeared. The offer wasn't created at cancellation. The offer was stored there and hidden until the system had a reason to spend it. That's where the pressure builds, because it means the expensive reality can run for years without ever showing its alternatives. You can live inside the higher number without knowing the lower one is even present, and nothing in the normal flow of payment will ever reveal it. Once you recognize the pattern, it starts to feel less like a weird glitch and more like a quiet architecture. The screen is not a statement of truth. It's a behavior test. The expensive total is the default state. The better state is conditional. The conditional state is reserved for moments the system defines as danger. The system doesn't have to announce itself because most people never enter the exit flow. Most people don't click cancel. Most people don't force the menu to expand. They pay, they move on, they accept the total as the natural cost of living inside modern billing. And that's why the same story repeats across industries that have nothing to do with each other on the surface. Subscriptions with special pricing that appears only after termination is selected. Memberships that suddenly offer retention discounts after the downgrade button is pressed. Financial products that display different promotions depending on who the account appears to be and what the account is likely to do next. Different labels, same mechanism. The offer exists. The offer is filtered. The offer is not shown until risk is detected. What makes it heavy is how clean it looks while it happens. No alarm, no warning, no admission. A locked bar across a line item is enough. The denial is silent and administrative, like the system is simply following policy, when the policy itself is designed to extract more from those who remain inert. The bill returns to its calm face, 120 at the top, as if nothing has changed. But now the lower line is no longer an empty rumor. It's been seen. It has a label. It has a number. It has a lock. And the lock tells you something that is difficult to unsee. The price you pay is not the price that exists. It is the price your version of the screen allows. Some people will never touch the cancel flow, and for them, the cheaper line will remain buried forever. Others will only see it once, briefly, in the moment the system feels threatened. Then watch it disappear again as soon as the account becomes safe. The offer isn't a gift, it's a lever. The system doesn't reveal it because it loves you. It reveals it because it fears losing you. So, when someone asks why new users always get better deals, the answer isn't a marketing slogan. It's a rule hiding inside the interface. Better options are not distributed equally. They are released strategically. The screen changes depending on what the system believes you are. And the belief is shaped by how quiet you have been. The redacted bill doesn't just show a high total. It shows a hidden alternative sitting beneath it, waiting behind a trigger, proving that the cheaper plan was never missing, only withheld. Top of form, bottom of form.